What's up, guys? I'm Alex.
I'm Jason, we're the Table Monkeys, and this is another video in our series Starting From Zero, where we're trying to take arm wrestling sort of from the top down and give a really standardized sort of starting point for beginners and newer pullers, or even more advanced pullers, to kind of refine the ins and outs of the basics and the fundamentals of arm wrestling, right? So in each video, we start from the top, we work our way down. So let's start with the setup and kind of get to where we left off in the last video.
Okay, so your fundamental setup, hooking your leg around the table, other leg pointing in the direction you want to go, twisting back so my shoulders are square, elbow inside my body in the center of the pad, wrists nice and high, pronation locked, and other hand on the peg. From here, this is my starting position. We always want to try to initiate for that high hook, which is rising, cupping, getting the arm inside my body. If you get this position, great. You can follow through, continuing in that 45-degree, pressing, rolling. Oftentimes you won't get that. You may only win one of the main fundamentals. So let's say you only win your post, and continue through with the posting top roll. Only win your cup, continue cupping to the side or cupping and dragging. Those are the main different options. There's still obviously a lot of different pressures, but that's all on the winning side of the table.
And we didn't
talk much about what happens if you don't win the fundamentals off the start and you end up in a losing position. What do you do then?
Exactly. So yeah, like Alex said, the last video basically covered what we just talked about, winning off the go. If you win, what you can do from there. And what we want to talk about now is sort of staying in the fight part two. If you lose something off the go, what options do you have then? Where are you left? And outside of the strap, we're still outside of the strap right now. As we sort of go through this process, you'll see that it leads us to the strap, which is what we're going to end in this video, is talking about how the strap changes the game a little bit and where the pressures start to change once you're in the strap. But outside of the strap, there's sort of it's techniques always apply, styles make matches always applies, but outside of the strap is where it's extremely obvious, and there's a couple moves that really will only work if the styles are matching up properly, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the defensive pressures that we talked about last week, and this is where if you start to lose something off the go, what you might be able to do to stay in the fight. We talked about if we're both posting, and from the post you can feel that you're losing your rise and your pronation a bit, like this angle going this way is starting to give out. Not necessarily your cup, but your rise, your pressure this way. So as off the go, I start to win this way. I'm starting to win, and I can feel, okay, I'm winning my rise and my pronation, so most likely, if I know what I'm doing at all, what I'm gonna do is commit to coming back and following through this way. So if Alex feels himself losing those things off the go, the defensive pressure or the kind of retreat move that he has is to give up his pronation. So he's gonna kind of go real soft on his thumb in order to commit inside and commit his shoulder forward. If this works out properly, like I said, if the techniques, if I'm really committed to posting and I win the bit that I do and fully commit to going outside, when I commit outside and Alex comes in, it's most likely gonna end me in this sort of shitty top roll position where I've lost my pronation. I'm in like a really bad offensive hook now.
Yeah, and he's also, because he's committed so far, he's outside of his shoulder.
My arm's starting to open up.
So he's lost a lot of pressure here, and his only option is really either just to keep driving in that pressure and eventually burn out because I'm in a stronger position, or come back up and try to regain some of what he's lost.
As I come back to retreat, if Alex is at all knows what he's doing and is in the match, he's gonna fill that gap with a lot of pressure, keep me outside and away from my arm, and there's really not gonna be a lot of options for me at this point. The chances are that he's gonna be able to finish that match there or keep me in such a sort of losing position that, again, I burn out and eventually lose. So that's one example where you might be able to land a defensive position because your opponent is so committed to the offensive move, which he has won a bit of off the go. The other one would be if you feel like somebody is really gonna try to turn you in and come like really hard shoulder forward, and you don't wanna meet them in the middle, and you don't feel, obviously, you can't post out of it because the hook is a great counter for the post. So again, off the go, you feel like the post is kind of contained and you can feel me coming in to set that hook. You're gonna retreat and sort of really commit to the rotation through the bottom of your hand. This is called like a low hand top roll. And at this point, if I try to hang on and pull you in, I'm in a bad position, and that's really what you want from there, because you should really be able to open my hand up from here. The other option would be that I don't hang on, I continue to come forward, and at that point we should slip apart and get to the strap, right?
Yeah, I mean, in any situation, you don't want to be hanging on. So if I hang on there, I'm most likely going to get pins. When I shoot for the defensive hook, if I really can't gain into my cup, I'm probably just going to get top rolled. The best option is probably just to not commit to the defensive hook at all and slip out.
Yeah.
But those options are still available to you. The strap is just probably a better option because it's going to get you more connected to all those things that you would be fighting for anyway, right? So it might be better just to go to the strap.
Yeah, and again, the main thing like we're trying to emphasize here at this point is the do not hang on sort of rule that really applies to arm wrestling. So again, like Alex said, if it was the initial one where I'm going for a top roll and Alex dives in for the hook, if he can't get in, or I get too far away where I've got too much here, what he doesn't want to do in this situation is hang on and really try to pull me back in. At this point, he needs to either roll if he can, or commit through and try to press through,
well,
right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's probably too far gone.
Yeah.
I need to make that decision a bit quicker.
Yeah, true.
Right, so he starts to take me right here. I'm gonna roll, bail underneath, and go for the strap.
Basically, in that situation, it's like he missed the opportunity to dive in. You know,
Yeah.
It's like if he wanted to dive in, it would have had to happen a lot earlier. If he feels like once I'm to here, and again, it's like millimeters, but as you learn the game, you can really feel the difference between this and this. Once I'm here, like Alex said, it's commit out, or if I have gotten outside of your hand, maybe you push all the way through. So yeah, the main thing is don't hang on. Again, in the low hand position, if I do actually come in, he rolls me out, and I go, okay, I'm not gonna hang on, so I choose not to hang on, I choose to press through. If he hangs on, that's where he's in a bad position now, because even if my hand comes under like this, which you've probably seen before, and he's just really hanging on to my thumb, I can pull him down to the pad that way, and it's a pin for me, right? So don't hang on, first and foremost.
Go to the strap.
Yeah. All right, guys, so here we are in the strap. First thing that you want to know about the strap is how to put it on. So there's lots of videos on that. We will try to remember to throw a video card up here where we explain how to put it on, because putting it on properly is going to allow you to feel all the pressures that we're feeling. If you don't put it on properly, the pressures do feel different, so learn how to do it properly. Which leads me to the next thing, is that if you are a fan of arm wrestling at this point and you've watched a number of matches, you'll notice that high-level matches basically 99% of the time end up in the strap. And the main reason for that is the rule that we were just talking about just before, the idea of not hanging on. Most of the matches are going to start fighting for pressure up top. If our strengths are even and we both know how to arm wrestle, neither of us are going to hang on, and those pressures are going to get to a point where our hands just kind of come apart. Along with a lot of the different techniques, as we explained, once the pressures sort of meet their breaking points, the sort of like the right path is always to end up slipping for the most part.
Right. So when you're in the strap, the first thing you're going to notice is that you have access to a lot more back pressure through this bottom part of the strap. So your ability to drag is so much more effective now.
Which is basically your ability to win side of the table, as far as like what we would call pad to pad side of the table.
So this is going to be really helpful in any outside move, because now you have a lot. If your lat is stronger, you have ability to control whose side of the table you're on, right? So it's going to give you a lot more access to outside moves. Yeah,
and again, there's kind of always a back and forth with the strap. So the same way that I have the ability to drag, I also have the ability to drive forward. Which again, depending on the style that you're going for, can be really effective. If somebody is really good at pulling away from you and getting outside your hand, if I can be attached to their hand to kind of stay with them, it doesn't allow them to exploit my hand as much, right? So again, as much as you can pull, you can push, which leads us into this part of the strap, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the next main pressure that you're gonna feel is the rotation. So outside of the strap, in order for me to rotate my opponent's hand down or in or back this way, I have to break their force. Like I need to feel their pressure against my hand and apply enough pressure into their hand that it actually turns their like the musculature around, like reverses the force that they're applying.
And while he's doing that, he's maintaining this active pressure, right?
Yeah.
Because we're in the strap, right, you don't have to hang on. So he can pronate, affect my wrist without even hanging on, right? So he's breaking open my wrist by applying pronation, not through his thumb, but through into the strap.
Through the back part. So if it were Alex doing it, it would be almost into the buckle here. He's gonna end into his wrist at the bottom here, where he's really trying to feel the pressure into the strap. One thing, this is a very king's move pressure to be pulling out and around that way. And one thing that you'll notice, or that if you ever pull with Crazy George, is always very particular about where the strap is in relevance to this bone. As long as he feels the strap underneath that bone, he's happy. If it's on or above the bone, he's always complaining about the strap, because when it's down here, he can really feel that pressure that he's trying to apply out and away from his opponent. So again, the rotation is huge in the strap, because I don't actually have to manipulate my opponent's musculature or I don't have to feel the connection in the hands. As long as I can feel the connection to the strap, I can apply that pressure. So the same here, if I can feel the connection here on the strap, I've got a lot of access to back pressure. If I can feel the connection down here on the strap, I've got a lot of access to outside pressure. And then the next one would be feeling the strap up here in your hand. That'll give you a lot of rising pressure, which is not as important in the strap. It kind of gets mitigated by drag because of the connection. But there are obviously times where you really want to apply up pressure, so you're going to apply it that way. Or the rotational pressure would be like a reverse supination. So again, it's through the top of his hand, not the bottom of his hand, that he's supinating. He's supinating out as opposed to thinking about supinating in, and that's forcing me into a supinated position as well.
Right.
Which,
so if I want to get in the hook, it's a lot easier now. I don't have to squeeze. I don't have to hold on to his hand. I can just rotate underneath and get myself into that hook position.
Yeah. So again, those are the last one that we touched on earlier, the press, the idea of coming forward. Again, if he's going out and getting outside my arm like this, instead of trying to control that pressure up there, if I'm a shoulder committed type of a puller, as long as I can feel the connection in the strap on the bottom of my wrist here, I can apply a ton of pressing pressure down and across without having to have a real connection in my hand. So which is why this move and the King's move, the furthest outside and the furthest inside move, really do depend on the strap, right?
Yeah. You're not going to find too many people winning outside the strap with the King's move over flop press. If you are, they're probably pretty new to the sport, because as we said before, you should never hang on. And if you find yourself losing to a flop or a King's move, you probably held on.
Yeah, exactly, right? So those moves are only effective outside of the strap if your opponent, like Alex just said, is hanging on, which I guess the point that we're trying to make there is it means that your opponent doesn't really know what he's doing. So don't be too happy if you're winning matches with flop presses outside of the strap. It probably means that you need to start climbing the ladder a little more and going for harder opponents.
So in conclusion, the strap allows you to access these different pressures with a lot more effectivity, if that's a word. So your drag, your press, your rotation, supination, and pronation all become more effective and stronger in the strap, so it's going to lead you to different moves down the hill.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tricks and stuff you can do in loading the strap in the setup, and really talking about how the King's move and the flop press work specifically. Also sort of gets into all the different ways that you can find and apply the pressures in the strap, which is what we want to talk about in the next video. But the main thing to know about the strap is, like Alex said, first thing, we don't have to hang on. And once you learn how to feel the connection points in the straps, it really gives you a lot more access to your power than you would have without it. So almost any really accomplished puller is going to be better in the strap than out of the strap, just because it's allowing them to access all the strength that they already have, but without less sort of intricacies of like having exactly the hand position or having your opponent's hand in exactly the position you need to really apply the pressure, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, learn the strap. That's definitely the next part of the game, and the best way to get to the strap is learn the rule of don't hang on.
Yes. So in the next video, we'll cover more about the strap and the different moves that you have access to. For now, that's the video. Please like the video, leave some feedback down below.
Subscribe, smash the bell, all of those things.
And monkeys out.
Peace.